I started my moving company in Australia at the age of 17. I built it up to $10 million a year. My first company failed, but I still built the second one up to $10 million. I have pretty much gone through everything that an average moving company owner goes through. I didn't know where to find the leads from. I didn't know how to find guys. I didn't know what systems I needed. I didn't even know what people I needed. I didn't know how to do the job. I knew nothing, but I was still able to build a $10 million company. A lot of people ask me, how did you do it? When did you start? So let me just tell you everything about it today. Let's take you back in time. So how did we actually come about starting a moving company? So there was a guy who lived in our house, and he basically came up with the idea to my father. My father had a ute at the time. So he was like, why don't we do these small jobs and we can make some money together? And my father was like, yeah, sounds good. So basically, the guy would book the jobs for my father, and they both would go do the jobs together. And these were small jobs, like moving a fridge here, moving a washing machine there. And they basically started doing it together. And before you know it, they were making good money. And then came a point where he moved out of the house. So my mother started booking the jobs for my dad. And he basically, they had this little thing going together. I'm talking 2017. So they started to work. Man, making these videos is hard, just for the record. It's not easy. My mother started booking jobs for my dad now. And all over, I think full 2017, they were doing the jobs together. And then 2017 is when I started. So my father actually went to India. He wouldn't give me his ute to drive. So when he was gone, my mother was like, why don't you drive his ute and we can book some jobs, like she can book some jobs for me. So I was like, sure, why not? And I had a plan of going to uni and doing all these things, and I was working 2 other jobs. I was working in Hungry Jack's and Domino's, and at the same time I was doing this ute thing at the same time. So my mother started booking jobs for me, and I started doing these jobs. And basically, before you know it, a month has gone by. My father's come back, and every single day I would take the money from the client, or they would put the money in my mom's account. So I had 10,000 saved up, so I bought a ute myself. So I had my own ute by now. And I had no expenses. So when you have no expense, all you have is income. And that's basically how I got into it at the start. And then for the next 6 months, I did it all on my own. So how did I get jobs? I got jobs from Airtasker, Gumtree, Marketplace. And on Airtasker, you have to be super quick. So on Airtasker, I was just, as soon as a inquiry comes in, I put an offer in, and I'm watching what the other people are doing, how they're setting up their profile. Pretty much everything how they're doing, I started doing. It was speed game. We weren't booking jobs a week ahead. We were booking jobs for the next day. And these were small jobs. Washing machine, fridge, couch. Just small things, you know, people need a man and a ute. And I was the man and a ute for cheap. I did that for 6 months. And then after 6 months, I had enough money to buy my own truck. And at this point, I bought a brand new 4.5 ton Pentec, completely new. So I bought the thing, and I'll tell you a quick story about that. I went to pick up the truck, and I had never driven a truck before. The salesman he just showed me how to put it in drive, reverse, and all of that. So I drove it out somehow, and I think I was doing 30 kilometers an hour at the zone of 80. I drove it to Sikh temple, and thank God for giving me the truck, giving me the opportunity that I was able to afford it. Without realizing, the biggest thing that I had done at this point is I paid off the truck. So I had no debt. So I want you to understand this lesson here if you want to take it away. There is no debt for me at this point. So even if that truck doesn't work, I'm okay. And that's exactly what happened. I wasn't getting enough work for the truck. So the truck was just standing there, and I kept working on my ute. And so the money was still coming in. I was still doing my little business, but the truck was standing. So on Airtasker, I look at other ways of getting business. So I started to basically get all these, started picking up small jobs, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. And one day I come across a big job, which is going to Canberra. And from Brisbane to Canberra, I quote the guy $3,500 that I was going to do the job for him for $3,500. And somehow we went there, and on the way back, I crashed the thing. I think it was fatigue, and I was on red peas, and 18 years of age. I had no idea what I was doing. So I crashed the truck, but luckily nothing happened. No one was hurt, and we did the delivery fine, came back. Again, after that, the truck went into service for 4 months to get fixed. And I was there just working on my ute. So I kept on doing that for the next 4 months. And then as soon as I saved up, I bought a second truck. Everything was fine up until this point. I didn't have work, but I had these trucks that were paid off. And I had no idea how to find customers. There was no one to teach at the time on how to do this. It was just you. Airtasker and Gumtree were the best things I had. And even with Airtasker, there was a lot of issues with that thing. But there was no way of actually getting real customers and no one to teach. One day I come across this ad. It was a company from Melbourne. I won't name the company. They said, hey, we're going to give you jobs and you can do the jobs and get this hourly rate. So they would charge a higher hourly rate and pay a lower hourly rate. That's how the subcontracting works. And I was like, cool, that makes sense. So I got on the phone with the guy. He was the hiring manager. And he said, look, mate, we're going to give you jobs for 4 weeks. We're going to keep all your 3 trucks busy. Send us the photos, send us everything. It looked pretty legit. I was like, cool, no worries. So I sent them everything, but they had a clause in, and the clause was they would pay for the first week and 4th week. Now I was so desperate for work. I was like, that's fine. Let's just go. I just need work. I've hired these 4 people. I don't know how to find work for these guys and they're going to leave eventually. So, and I need work myself. So we started working with this company, and that company ended up just burning at the end of the day. Like, the company wasn't good. The company was basically not paying us and charging the customer more and not letting us unload the truck until the payment is done. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, when you're young, you learn from the people around you. So that's what I did. I basically learned their ways of doing business. With this company, they wouldn't pay employees on time, wouldn't pay me for the work that I've done, and they would charge the customer more, and they would not let us unload, because if the customer didn't pay, then we wouldn't get paid. So it was a whole thing we had to go through with these guys. So there were all these issues going on with the company, and I still hadn't been paid. And this was all within the first 4 weeks when they said we weren't allowed to unload. The customer had to pay. The customer was never happy because the customer wasn't told on what the quote was going to be, how long the job was going to take. The customer had no idea. And another big thing was I didn't have experienced guys. And the company didn't really care because they just want to get paid. And I didn't care because I want to get paid. Everyone wants to get paid, but no one wants to do a good job at this point. So we were like, cool, we just kept on working. And the 4th week comes around. I get paid for the first week, and I see all the jobs they've paid me for. And every single job had one hour missing, half an hour missing. And I look at them, I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, the customers didn't pay. And I was like, what do you mean the customers didn't pay? The customers didn't pay, so we can't pay you. And I was like, okay, well, I want to leave. And they're like, there's another clause in your contract, which is if you leave, you don't get paid for the last 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, so I think I'm in trouble here. And basically we kept dragging along for second month, 3rd month, 4th month. And at the same time, I was focusing on my own business. So what this company did for me was it basically taught me how to book jobs. And the way it did that was when this company would message me the job, they would put underneath where they got the lead from. So after the first month, I got to work. I started looking around these platforms, like there were multiple platforms, which we will discuss. And I started signing up to them, and they started sending me leads. So I started booking jobs through there as I slowly phase out this company. And I think after 3 months or 4 months of working with them, we were left in the hole for 60 grand. They owed me 60 grand and they didn't pay. So it was a really hard point for me and the mistake that I made here was I relied on one company to give me work, and I didn't learn anything for the first month or 2. So when I started doing this other stuff on how to get jobs, I was like, cool. So I was able to charge more by having my own jobs, and these guys phase out slowly. So even though I did lose money with these guys, but they taught me the biggest thing, which was how to get jobs. And now this is where this point is where everything starts to go wrong. But I didn't realize at the time. The issue was knowledge is everything, and how to do business properly is everything. If you've never learned how to do business, you're not going to do business properly. And have you heard the saying that the people you surround yourself with, you become like them? So I was only surrounded, and my guys were only surrounded with this company. The way this company did business, we followed, and we did the same way. So this company taught me how to do basically the client technically, and then how to find clients. So what I was doing on daily basis was I was sitting down in a university I had dropped out by this time. So I was sitting in my university just selling. So I wasn't studying. I was just on the phone with the customers that came through these platforms, lead platforms. So I started just talking to them, selling to them, and this is where I learned sales. So that's one part, pretty much is the biggest reason why I was able to build what I've built. The issue was that I didn't know how to do the job properly. The issue was the guys were not experienced, they were cheap, and we were called the cheap movers. That's how we branded ourselves, because that's how that company branded themselves. So I thought that was the best way, because how can you compete with these big companies that are charging a lot? It didn't make sense to me at the time. I was like, what do you mean? There was a guy actually, he had one truck and he charged $250 an hour, and we were charging $75 an hour. And I was like, are people stupid? They're paying $250 an hour for a removalist, and I'm struggling to find customers with $75 an hour. So I just kept on doing this $75 an hour thing, start selling, just want to make sure that these trucks are busy and I'm still making money at the same time. So I'm going through this whole cycle every day, and there were so many issues at this point, because when I compare myself when I had one ute and one truck, everything was fine up until that point, because I was doing the job, I was finding the jobs, and I had no issues whatsoever. But when I bought these trucks and I got into this subcontracting thing, and then I had to figure out a way to get my own jobs, in this point I had to hire people, and those people I didn't know how to teach. So I just relied on them doing a good job. Basically what ended up happening was these guys came on board and went to the jobs and literally had no idea how to rap, how to do anything, even how to talk to the client. And they would make all these mistakes that I would have to deal with. And I was so young, I was like, I don't want to deal with this stuff. The customer's paid, I'm done. See you later. That's the mindset I had at the time. And that's because they didn't know any better, right? There was no one to learn from. Basically, we kept this going for I think around 12 months. We kept on booking jobs, kept on finding these guys, and kept doing the jobs. The complaints started stacking up. So up until the point when I was working, I had all 5-star reviews because I know how to talk to the customer. But when I hired these other people, they don't know how to talk to the customer. They don't know how to speak proper English. They're students. They had no idea what they were doing. And that's when the reviews started to go down and the complaints started to come in. And I wasn't focusing on that too much because I was focusing on making sales and staying busy. And one person can't do both, can't manage the business and manage the guys and sell. That just doesn't work. So I was stuck in that position for almost 12 months to 2 years. So I kept working, kept on doing stuff. Also, I had another issue with the guys. So the guys would come and leave. They would come and leave because they were like, this company is not organized. So the good guys would come in, they would see how unorganized things were, and they would leave. And the bad guys would come in and they would be like, they would see the company is not organized and they would do a bad job and then they would leave. So there was a high turnover and guys literally like, I can't blame them today, but at that time I blamed them. I was like, why are you not doing a good job? But now when I look back, I'm like, it wasn't their fault. It was my fault at the end of the day because the company wasn't organized. So 2 years of this back and forth, everyday struggle, wake up, handle all these complaints. It wasn't even handling the complaints, just was selling every day, selling. And all I cared about was, as long as the customer's paid, we're sorted. And that was it. Didn't care about, there was no customer service, there was no anything because we didn't know any better. So we kept on doing that. And 2 years comes around. After 2 years of me doing the same thing, I didn't know you could get in trouble for this stuff. Because I thought it was just do the job, get paid, and see you later. But nah, there's government, there was people that can come after you for doing these mistakes. Customers can make complaint to the government, to fair trading. So fair trading comes after me and they go, hey, you're doing all these things. We have this 5 pages of complaints. What do you have to say about that? I'm like, I don't know anything. And I told them, I was like, I don't know what's going on. And they said, okay, so all of this stuff happened and we finalized, we came to an agreement with a fine. I paid the fine. Everyone was happy. Everything was done. But then comes a reporter. So one of the clients actually had a friend who was a reporter. So the reporter made a complaint against me. She made a little report, and they basically, everyone knew that there was a removalist in Brisbane. This is his name, and he was doing all this bad stuff. At the point, in my defense, I was like, I didn't know I was doing anything bad. But they were like, yeah, this is bad. I was like, cool, that's a big wake-up call. They basically started attacking. And the thing with attacking is, when you're down, everyone wants to come after you. Because remember, I was making a lot of money, but now there's this thing against me. Because I had bought cars, I had bought everything by this point. So I was pretty successful, you can call it, money-wise. And people saw that. And then when this thing happened, everyone was like, we knew something, he was doing something wrong. We knew it. Everyone said, he's finished, he's done, he's this. I was like, you know what? I'll tell you when I'm done. I'll decide when I'm done. And then I stayed quiet. I just went away. I was like, yeah, it's okay. Let's ignore everybody. I went to work. I appreciate whatever happened, because that opened my eyes to doing something better. I was like, okay, there's something wrong. All of these things are happening. There's something wrong. I need to fix this somehow. All of this was a wake-up call, and it pissed me off. It pissed me off because I was like, well, I know I'm better than this. I know I can do better. I need to do something about this. I was like, you know what? Let me fix it. I'm going to double my business. That's the day I decided I'm going to double my business. When everyone started attacking, I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to double the business now. Instead of saying, I'm done. This isn't for me. I was like, let's double the business. So there was a lot of work that had to be done after that point. I had literally pretty much everything. The reason I'm making this channel is to show you how I did everything from start to finish. So I basically broke down the business into step by step. So first thing I did was listen to books, analyzed all the problems that I had in the business, figured out step by step how to do everything. Because when you are on your own, you know how to do work. But when you bring other people in, you need systems and processes to tell them what to do, and they need to follow those. I didn't even know that was a thing. So I basically learned everything from the beginning. We had broke down the businesses into pieces, and I literally went on this truck buying thing. So I bought all these trucks one by one, and at the same time I'm fixing the business from ground up, from the start to finish. And I started listening to books. I was listening to podcasts. I bought courses. I did all these things, and I analyzed one problem at a time. I had a problem of guys, okay? And then I had a problem of pricing. And then I had a problem of pretty much everything. So what I did was I fixed the pricing part first. I started charging more. I had to build a different brand, different company, different website. And then I started charging more. When I started charging more, I could pay more. And when I paid more, I got good guys. And when I got good guys, they were doing a good job. And when they were doing a good job, I was getting referrals. And then back to the start. So there was a cycle that followed. And I had to focus on, how do we handle these complaints if a complaint comes through? Cool. So there was a process that had to be put in, that when the complaint comes in, this needs to happen. So there were a lot of SOPs that had to be introduced. And who was going to follow the SOP? We had to find someone for that. There was, from start to finish, I figured out, what people do I need in this business? Because I can't do it all alone. So I was like, okay, I need a sales consultant. I need this many guys to do this many jobs. And then I need this many subcontractors. And then, okay, to manage the guys, I need to find him a manager and a team leader within the guys. And then in the sales, I had to find a sales manager and all these salespeople. So there was all this planning that had to be done slowly. And over the last 3 years, we've basically changed the whole game. And I'm proud to say this now, because every single customer that interacts with our business now, it's all smooth. There is no problem at all. We promise them something and they get the same thing. Everyone's happy. So the moral of what I'm trying to say is, there are a lot of problems that can happen in a business, but it's how you sort them out, how you fix them. And I'll just give you some numbers so you trust more. Started with a ute straight out of high school. At this point, we're doing $10 million a year with storage, cleaning, moving across the 3 big cities, Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. We have a bunch of subcontractors down in Sydney, Melbourne. We have our own trucks in Brisbane, and pretty much we're clearing out hundreds of jobs every single week. hundreds, and that's big. And running a big operation like that, it takes a lot of work, but I don't have to do most of it now because I have people in place to do everything. So my plan for this channel is pretty simple. I don't want anyone to go through what I did, because some people might be able to go through that, but some people might not be. So I want to set the system right that, hey, look, this is how you run a business. I want to give everything away that I know for free of cost. I don't want to charge anything for it. I'll tell people how to do everything. And then if you follow it, I'm sure you'll be very successful. If you don't follow it, it's up to you. But that's my plan for this channel. And in this video, I just wanted to explain how my journey was. Obviously, this wasn't in very detail because I've been trying to film this video for a long time, but it's a first video, obviously. So let's see how this goes. But I want to pretty much teach everyone how to do this. That's my plan now. I've made all the money that I could. I just want to teach everyone how they can do the same thing and build something of their life without getting in the trouble that I did. I want to make sure people are making that profit. You know, if you're running this hard business, you want to be making profit and living your life and have some freedom in your life. You don't want to be getting up to a phone call from the driver that I'm not coming in today, and then the customer calling, where are the guys? And then you're like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure something out. And then you have to go do the job yourself. And then because you're going to do the job yourself, you can't sell that day. And if you can't sell that day, you can't have jobs for tomorrow. It's so much. So we need to find a simple plan. I have that simple plan. I'm going to give it to you every single video from now on. It's going to be broken down into subjects: how to sell, how to hire guys, how to put this process in place, which people you need. I'm going to break down everything for you in this channel, all free of cost. So if you're interested, follow along. And if you want any certain video, any certain topic, feel free to put it down in the comments and I'll get to that first. So see you later.